Hey, hey, hey. It's another episode of Chaotic Sports. My name's Chris Sarda. We got Angelo on the panel. We got Wayne on the panel. This is the Last Dance post-game report. The episodes 5 and 6 just finished a few minutes ago, and this is our show to really just talk about that documentary and then, basketball in general. We seem to always I got a challenge for the panel today. After I say this, let's not mention it again. No mentioning LeBron. How about that? Can we all agree?
I mean,
No
there's
LeBron.
there's no reason I mentioned him a lot of episodes, so I like that you said that. I don't usually bring him up.
I think
so
we
I
agree.
agree.
Mentioned last time. Anyway, you could find us at Chaotic Sports on Twitter, and I'm going to shake all the time because I'm on a weird desk right now. At Chaotic Sports on Twitter and at Chaotic Sports Podcast on Instagram. So let's get started with some house cleaning stuff first. Number one, we didn't stream yesterday. That's because I had to take the day off. But I think
You deserved it.
I think going forward, just to let people know, we're going to still talk about basketball or whatever news and stuff. But I think we want to start getting really more in depth on football where we can. We'll talk about baseball too as stuff is coming up, or on the days that it's only me and Angelo or something. I know, Wayne, you like baseball, but it's sort of the same way I like college sports, right?
We could break down the whole division of baseball. That's a great idea, but I don't know if we're going to get a season.
Exactly. So we're going to do, I think we will get a football season, though, in some form. So I think what we'll start doing is a big focus on the individual divisions, and that'll be 4 teams. If we talk 15 minutes on each team, 10 to 15, I mean, the Jaguars are going to take like 5 minutes to talk about. But like on average, if we talk 10 to 15 minutes on each team, that's our show right there. So I think that would be solid. Another thing, I want to throw this out there because I respect the help for sure. But let's talk about thumbnails because my thumbnails do suck, right? They are pretty bad.
Hey man, I am trying to help. You know what I mean? I'm doing my part. I mean, my biggest help is even agreeing to do this podcast.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to help. Helping you guys out here, but the thumbnail thing and all that stuff is something I enjoy. But I'm trying to help out. I'm trying to get all the work off of you. You know what I mean?
No, I do respect that because it's taken me a long time even to get this bad, and putting them up there is good. I think we could work. I think we should work together on the thumbnails. Just there's like some rules, and I mean,
Chaotic Sports has no. We don't go by rules. You know this first and foremost.
So here's the deal. I'll volunteer to help with whatever, but I'm that dude in your college group project
that we pull your weight. You gotta pull your weight.
You gotta be like, yo, I need you to do this. I'll be like, all right, I can handle that.
Well, you're the dude in not even college. You're the high school dude that there's 3 or 4 people in each group, and you're the guy that just sits there and everybody else does the work.
Wayne, can you draw? Did you used to draw in high school? He may have been that way, but then you would be like, Wayne, fucking do it. And then
quit looking at that girl.
Leave
that chick alone and freaking help us in this project. We're trying to cut apart a pig here. Do something. Quit being a pig and cut this pig apart.
But no, we're on the right path. It is a problem because we all none of us are really that artistic. I mean, I know Wayne's
definitely not.
Like maybe musically used to like make beats and stuff like that. But yeah, that'll help. And then we'll figure out everything else. And then there's just certain rules for clarity and shit like that. I was going to start showing all of my messed up and effed up thumbnails because I'll actually sit for a long ass time and be like, oh, that's ugly as hell. And then I'll go, okay, that's close enough. And that's,
so Chris, are we bringing this up because you didn't like my thumbnail? Or let's get down to the real thing here. Like, go ahead and say you didn't like it.
The thumbnail I liked, I like that thumbnail, and then you changed it.
I mean, I changed it a little bit. You're right, because I kind of did the other one like a few days ago or whenever that was, right?
So
a week ago.
Hey, this is how This is how anti people Angelo is.
No, that was a week ago, dude.
Like, oh, I like that thumbnail, and then he'll be like, "Well, here's like 14 more changes to it."
Well, I mean, it looks like that, but that wasn't the case. It was just that I did that like a week ago, and I kind of forgot and just redid one. You know.
Yeah, I did.
What's concerning to me is that we're losing out on valuable talk time about Last Dance.
We'll get to Last Dance. You don't.
Bro, we're warming up. We're warming up the airways. Yeah, we're warming up the airways, dude.
I'll tell you what. If I was a new podcast listener and the first 6 minutes you guys were talking about thumbnails, I'll be like, man,
Good. We don't want people. We don't want people like you. This motherfucker's in timeout.
We want people that know what thumbnails are. Or oh damn, he put him in timeout. That's kind of dirty, but I like it. He put him in a minute timeout like he's a 3-year-old.
Hey, someone let Wayne know. We'll get to it. We'll get to we have like a whole hour to talk about the Last Dance. You know, here, Wayne, where you can't talk. This is what you could do. You could just talk about something else. We'll move into the Last Dance. Don't worry.
We can't even hear him right now. He's in timeout. We can't even hear him. Where's
He's way back there. He's
backstage, as you would say, right?
What do you look? I don't know what Wayne's laughing at. He must be looking at the last 20 years of quarterbacks that the Browns have had.
I can't even see him.
I know. I took him out. I can see him because I have him in the back. Yeah.
So he's not hanging himself, or he's not taking it too extreme.
We'll bring him back and let him respond. But I mean, I think Wayne doesn't understand the nature, the chaotic nature. I named all of these channels in some form chaos or chaotic. You know what I mean?
I mean, we do bounce around and go off the rails, which is part of what it is.
Yeah. Who the fuck is this guy to go, I feel like if I were a podcast listener, I would be like, I'm here for the Last Dance.
I mean, I think he's learned his lesson. He's learned his lesson.
He's learned his lesson. Hey, you know Wayne for a decade. He's never learned his lesson.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get more than you, me, our friend Tyler, and your mom to listen to this podcast. That's it. I mean, I'm just trying.
Tyler's never listened to this podcast. What are you on crack?
Yeah, Tyler doesn't. He doesn't even once in a while or give it a shot. I mean, but he's that type of guy. We know what he is.
By the way, for a channel that's, you know, the only thing I do is put it on Twitter, and we've only had a few videos. We're not getting comments, which is what I want. I don't care as much about views.
I wanted to point that out.
We're getting around 40 views, which is, don't get me wrong, that's shitty. But for just putting up 3 or 4 videos and just starting to be consistent, there could be far worse. Perry over here, he started doing live reactions the last month to MCU movies that he's never watched, and his channel went from like 1,000 subs in a month, went from 1,000 to 4,000 subs, which is pretty good.
You're saying live reactions as he's watching it?
Well, he actually records himself watching it, does the reactions, and cuts it down to like 10 or 12 minutes. But he's a comic channel that had never watched any MCU movies until like 2 months ago.
Wayne, get off your phone, bro.
Yeah, I know. Listen, if Wayne doesn't want to be on the Ticket Show,
I'm just twiddling with this.
You're twiddling with your balls?
Waiting to talk about sports.
Okay,
one more thing though. So I that's what I thought too about the comments, because I seen views and I was like, oh, too bad people ain't jumping in some comments, so I did notice that.
It takes a minute for comments, so yeah. And if you watch some of these like sports shows where it's just guys hanging out, basically, a lot of those don't have comments. They'll have comments live when people start showing up to the live stream, but they won't have comments on the bottom. And then here's the other problem with this Corona shit. Everyone, I mean, like Charles Barkley is on his webcam. It looks just like this. You know what I mean? Everyone's on their webcams now.
So you're saying we got competition?
Yeah, I mean, now you have competition. So there used to be like a different market, right? There was Charles Barkley and Shaq and all those guys on a nice set.
On TNT.
And there was something more punk rock like this. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we'll be your friends and talk to you and stuff. But now they're all just like this. Now they all look like with their webcams.
Well, you're right. They're all locked down and they're all at home in their office.
Yeah, exactly. With their like books and stuff,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, let's get into the Last Dance. Wayne, I know you didn't want to talk about this, so we'll just drop you on again, or what? You good?
Oh, come on. Wayne's doing us like this. We can't even hear him again. He's doing us dirty live. Like when you put him on timeout, he had a fit and he ripped his thing out.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. And just so you know, Angelo, Chris is muting me periodically.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a timeout thing.
I muted you.
Okay, I got you. I thought you had a tantrum and you messed up your Bluetooth thing or something.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. Here so I don't get fined. That's it.
You're about to get fined. Anyway, I was playing Daddy Daycare. What's the first thing? First episode, I think what stuck with me on the first episode, we talked a little about it. They got into the shoes, and I don't think they got into it enough, but they got a little bit into the shoes and the story. But I think the Kukoc stuff hit me the most. Right? So would you and I think Jordan's an interesting guy because he'll like talk about his feelings at the moment, because obviously him and Kukoc became friends, right? But the way Jordan was talking about Kukoc that first game that they played against him, he was talking to him like he was the enemy again. Like his mindset went to that first Dream Team game, and
well, yeah, they became friends, but it was like back in.
I don't know what this guy's doing.
I don't know. They became friends, but obviously at the beginning they were like pissed that Kukoc was getting all this money and notoriety, and they're like, or Kukoc, what do they call him? Kukoc.
Yeah, they called him Kukoc.
Yeah,
Kukoc. Called him Kukoc one time.
Yeah, Kukoc. I kind of laughed at that. I was like, dude, I don't even ever remember it, Kukoc. But they were kind of pissed at him because he was kind of getting the notoriety and the lefty. They were calling him the lefty Magic Johnson or whatever, and he was getting money, and Scotty wasn't, and they were trying to piss off. They were going to show Krause, right? They mentioned that. Like, yeah, they're like, we're gonna punk him,
Yeah, they were taking out all their hate on Krause. They were taking all their hate from Krause and putting it on Kukoc, who I thought was interesting. He goes, I didn't know any of this. It's just these two guys were mad at me. You know what I mean? Which is a little bit messed up. And I think they took him by surprise. Two superstars, I guess, really made him look bad in that game, which I don't remember. I remember the Croatia story was big then. And like my family was like Grateful Dead fans, and Grateful Dead actually funded that team. Oh, wait, no, they funded Lithuania. Never mind. Not Croatia. But, and so I remember that. I remember like watching it, but I don't remember Croatia necessarily, and beating up on Kukoc. I think what I wanted to talk about though is to get into like Jordan's mindset. Did you guys notice that? Like he was it almost seemed like Kukoc was his enemy. He was speaking with the same attitude about Kukoc, thinking about that one game, like the way he was talking about Isaiah Thomas. So we'll get into Isaiah too, but the way he was talking about Isaiah.
Go ahead, Wade. Let's jump on that one, man.
Well, I think ultimately it's more about the competitive fire within him, where he just doesn't want anybody to ever think that anybody is better than him. And the moment you think that you're better, he's going to shut you down. He's going to do whatever it takes to shut you down. Kind of like what you did to me throughout this beginning of our podcast.
Because you're being a whiny bitch. You're being a whiny bitch.
Hey, that was good. Don't hate on my jokes.
It was. Yeah.
But no, I'm serious. I just think it's the competitive edge. He doesn't want anybody else to have the upper hand, and the fact that Krause called that guy the future of the Bulls, it slighted him. And
plus, they're gonna break up the Bulls, and they weren't getting Scotty money, and it was like but he did say he loved Kukoc. After the fact,
yeah.
Right?
But see, I think that even what Wayne said is a little bit different. Like I think what Wayne said more describes him versus Clyde, that situation, right? Like Kukoc, they were just gonna punk him. The team was already gonna win. They were just gonna make him look bad. It was almost like he was doing it for Scotty in that case.
I think they all were. The whole damn Dream Team was.
Yeah.
I think they all kind of went at him just to show, like, whatever,
and then the documentary shows, and you got to give a lot of respect to Kukoc. Now that he knows what was coming, I think that it took him a little bit by surprise, and it was probably good for him to get that full NBA slap around that first game. But credit to Kukoc, as the documentary says, he apparently played a lot better. I always think it's funny though when they're like, "Oh, he played a lot better." They showed like his 4 highlights, and then they showed the score, and it was like 115 to 85 or something like that.
So, the first game they lost by like 30, and the second game they lost by like 28. But he had 16 points, 16 points in the second game, and probably like 4 in the first or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was getting beat up a lot and just looking bad because it was his first time on the court, probably with that kind of. I mean, no one had been on the court with that kind of talent because the Dream Team's the best team ever. But definitely there. How about the Isaiah stuff, man? He's never going to let that go. Every episode, it seems we get another like, "Fuck you, Isaiah" moment.
Well, I don't remember the Isaiah moment in this episode.
When they asked him to join the Dream Team, and he basically said, he basically didn't say it outright, but goes, "Who else is going to be there?" And everyone sort of understood that Jordan would only play on the Dream Team if Isaiah Thomas didn't get the bid.
Yeah, it's just never been. He never admits that he said that, but everybody knows kind of. I mean, Barkley said he didn't have any idea about it. I mean, Barkley's like, they never talked to me about Isaiah. Do you want Isaiah or not? You know.
Well, I think ultimately they just decided that he wasn't the best addition to the team for team chemistry sakes. You know.
No, I think they decided. Jordan decided that.
I mean, there's no proof.
You don't really need team chemistry. Like Dream Team is not based off of chemistry. It's just like the best of the best, and they're gonna whoop some ass. You know.
They're gonna whoop. Yeah, that's true too. But that's what Jordan was saying about it, and Jordan decided that, right? But I mean, number one, like Angelo says, that chemistry doesn't matter. The team was so much better. You know what I mean? It's like if we went out and played a bunch of first graders, you know, it doesn't matter if we're just talking shit and hate each other. The 3 of us are going to beat first graders, no matter how many.
We would smoke them.
Wayne falls on the floor, we're going to.
But Wayne would still fall. Wayne would still fall on the floor, but we would smoke him. You know that for a fact.
What I think is that you guys are missing is that Isaiah had issues with everybody else on the team as well. Like he just had run-ins, you know, and whether it was a small run-in on the court versus Isaiah and Barkley or Isaiah and Pippen or whoever the case may be, they just said, hey, I think collectively, without saying it, they're like, okay, we're just, omit them. Yeah, addition by subtraction, so to speak.
You're just making stuff up right now.
I mean, isn't that what you do?
Like they're literally making it up. Barkley
no, that's exactly what they said. That's exactly what they said.
Barkley said they didn't know, and Jordan said all this. He said that the team would have been different. Jordan's saying it. It was all Jordan's decision. And
now, if they were going off positions, like they had room for Isaiah, of course, but like barely. I mean, because they had like Stockton. I mean, they could have had him in course of instead of like Leitner or Mullen would be the only 2, and he should have been there instead of like Leitner, of course. But Leitner was the up and comer, one of the best college players. So like Leitner deserved. In reality, you would think Leitner was given a spot was worthy, right? In the moment.
You named 2, but I mean, you named 2 forwards.
Well, they were saying John Stockton. They were saying John Stockton should.
Hell no! I think John Stockton definitely should have been on there.
You have to remember though.
If you have an option between John Stockton and Isaiah, you would pick Isaiah over talent-wise. But
would you?
Lo, you have to remember that it was only up to the 91 season, so it was the 92 Summer Olympics, right? But it was only up through the 91 season. At that point, if you go back, try to put your head in 1991, you probably would say that Isaiah Thomas is the guard over Stockton. You know, I think in 1991 you might have said that. I mean, Stockton continued at a high level and became like, you know, basically the quintessential assist guy. You know, basically inspired the other guys and stuff. Yeah. But I think in 1991 you might have said, "Oh, Isaiah is still the guy over Stockton."
Yeah, or I wouldn't even think Stockton, but I was thinking Mullen or Leitner. But
those are forwards.
I know, but I'm just saying if he was going to be on the team, you know, you're going to have. I don't know if I would have put him in front of some other players.
Yeah, well, I mean, think more. I would say think more the position though. What position? Because obviously, Magic. You're not taking Magic out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're not taking Bird out. You're not taking Pippen.
Well, Bird's a forward. Bird's a forward.
I know. I'm just saying.
So you got the other guards on the team. So you had John Stockton, you had Magic Johnson, and then the shooting guards, and then the shooting guards were Jordan and Drexler.
Yeah, right? And you're not putting them in front of those guys.
No, I think you're putting them in front of Stockton though at that moment.
Possibly, but I don't think so. But that's all you could say, or you would have to move to another player. So I don't think there was much room for him. And Leitner at that time was regarded as one of the better college guys, so that he made sense at the time.
And essentially though, no one doesn't think, everyone knows that that Isaiah was snubbed. Like, it's not even a question on whether he would have made it. He would have definitely been on the team. Isaiah Thomas was definitely one of the best guards in the league at that time, and healthy, if I remember. Bird wasn't even healthy. So anyway, that's a big snub. And I'm just surprised it's 2020 and Jordan's, like, you could tell whenever that interview was, probably 2019 or something, Jordan still like has an attitude about it, like hasn't been able to let it go. And that's that mindset, right? That.
Yeah, he's probably hasn't even seen Isaiah too many times if you think about it. So it's probably fresher in his mind than you think. I mean, how many times has he probably has only seen him once or twice since 1990 something, you know?
Yeah, this probably restoked some flames because in those earlier episodes they were showing Isaiah pointing stuff out. Wayne, what else? Anything else in that first episode stick out to you? The shoes?
I think it was interesting how he decided to wear the first Jordans that he had ever, the Nike Jordans that he had made on his last game that he believed that he was going to be playing at Madison Square Garden. I thought that was cool. Even the fact that they were making his feet bleed, he didn't change them. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's like he wore that first time in Madison and wanted, like you said, he thought it was his last. Those type of shoes is like wearing old Converse, you know, like the Converse. They do hurt your feet. Like
those are even worse, actually.
What?
The Jordan ones. The Converse are flexible, at least. You know, the Chuck T's, they're at least a little flexible, and you know they're
that's true. They just both don't have that much cushion. But you're right. The other ones, the Nike's ones, have like no cushion at all. There's no foam or yeah, dude. Those are like old school. Like those are like you wouldn't want to wear those in a game. But at the time, back in the day, they were like good, right? It was weird.
Yeah, they were what, 84, 85 shoe, 85 or something like that.
Yeah, you know what shoe he's talking about, Chris?
Yeah, at the beginning. Well, I've never worn replica Jordan 1s, but at the beginning of the documentary, though, they were talking about the new technology the reason they called it Air Jordan. So you said there's no padding. It's worse because to me the Converse are no padding. To me, it's just like the little slip and then the rubber. And you're saying I think
Wayne's gonna get a shoe. I've worn that type of shoe, like even like Vans. Basically, they're like wearing Vans. You know how like the sole, there's hardly no. It's very small. The soles are very small. So
Vans are comfortable. The Chuck Taylors, I think, are the ones that I'm comparing to. But you guys said they're worse than the Chuck Taylors.
Yeah, I mean they're more sturdy as far as your ankle, less chance of an ankle break, but there's not much padding. So him playing a whole game, plus his feet in those when his feet are used to all the other Air Jordans he's been wearing. Think about all the good ones he's wearing. Then he went back to the old one.
And then you said there's no padding. What I'm saying though, what I'm trying to point out before we get to this shoe, Wayne, 1 second. What I'm trying to point out is that when the way they convinced him, they called it Air Jordan, was that there was like some kind of technology to make it softer.
Well, there was for the time, but it wasn't that good, and especially compared to his feet. What's his feet been doing for 20 years?
Worse than Chuck Taylor?
No, better. I'd say better.
Oh, okay. Wayne, show us. Let me make you big since you have a shoe.
These are the soles. These are actually not the exact ones. These are actually a fusion of the Jordan 1s with Bo Jackson's. These actually do have the air pocket, and they're not comfortable. These are very uncomfortable, but this is basically what they look like.
Hold on, Wayne.
So so the bottom of the soles aren't that big. Yeah.
Imagine.
So what are these?
The shoe. These are like a Jordan. If you see the logo.
Well, they don't. They also, I see you have an air pocket there. That's something
Right.
that's not there.
So that's the Fusion. So imagine this shoe without the air pocket, just a straight left sole here.
So
without the air pocket.
guys, you guys don't seem to be listening to me. I get that. What I'm saying is they said that there was this padding.
Right,
There
but
is,
they obviously had
for the
they've
time.
obviously yet to figure out how to put it into a basketball shoe. It took them a little bit more time to make a more air.
But one of you guys said that they were worse than Chuck Taylor's. Was that you, Wayne?
That was Wade,
Yeah,
but
they're
it's
bad.
like
They're bad. They're bad. They're pretty bad. They're pretty bad. Like I don't own a pair. These are ones with the air bubble, and they're uncomfortable.
So yeah, that sucks. So I think that this is these little like mini documentaries that don't get into enough, and I think this is one of the reasons that slowly, and I'm enjoying it, and I know I touched on this last time, and there's a lot to get into this second episode, but I keep seeing these like little mini things, like the world of Jordan is so big, they found a way to not get in depth enough in a 10 episode documentary. You know what I mean? Like the Jordan shoes, that could be its own hour.
yeah, but they could do like a 30-30 on that or something, huh? Which they've already done, like not just about Jordan, but about like the shoe creator and all that stuff.
They haven't, but they're not going to now because it's in this documentary. But it's like you got this 10 episode documentary, and then we only touched on the Jordans. It feels like we only touched on the Pistons stuff, and
but I feel like there's so much material that you can only go so far in depth on one particular topic.
That's what I'm saying, but that's the problem with it, right? Like I would almost rather have a TV show that was 10 documentaries that were independent, that didn't continue on, Like I think like the structure is annoying me a little bit, where just because we have all this video of the 97 of that last year, that they're trying to link his whole career to that last year, and it's like, I'd rather just have the Michael Jordan documentary show, and here's all the aspects, and then just do a whole documentary on it. Because all that's happening is I feel like I'm getting a preview of a dog appearance. I feel like I'm getting a preview of all this cool stuff that I want to know more about, but I'm going to spend 10 hours on a documentary. Does that make sense?
Well, there's still a lot more to go, but I know what you mean. There's still there's so much more in his life and career that you can't fit it into 10 episodes.
But but I also think what you're looking for is a documentary specifically all about Jordan, where this is more about the Last Dance and the team as a whole and what they went throughout that last season.
But that's my
problem.
It's failing at that.
I think you get. I don't think so. I think they brought in each little part. I think it's done actually beautifully. I think it's been excellently done thus far. It's like they give you enough without trying to give you the whole thing, and then they transition to something else that's connected to it.
So in these 2 hours, what did we get? In these 2 hours, what did we get about the Last Dance? Not the other stuff. I know we talked about the interesting stuff already, or like at least in the first episode. We'll get into the other stuff in a second, but we talked about the Dream Team stuff, and we talked about the shoes. Well, in these 2 episodes, I'm having trouble remembering what was actually.
Well, okay, they talked about like the 6th episode was a lot about his gambling addictions, right?
Yeah, but they weren't talking about those finals. They were talking about other finals.
Yeah, but I think part of it, at least the first one from tonight, was more about building up the whole the giant, building up the great Michael Jordan, building him up. And then that next episode was like, this is the fall of Michael Jordan, the pitfalls of Michael Jordan. So they built him up to a god, and then they brought him back down to a man. And I appreciate it.
And I like that. Don't get me wrong, right? But I mean, it's still in the context of The Last Dance, which none of you answered. I mean, what did they talk about The Last Dance? What did they talk about that in these episodes? Because
it's not over yet.
I know it's not over yet.
Here's a part that you guys forgot about in the first episode from tonight. The book the Jordan rules. That was a huge part of that. It came out around that time frame, and it was that transition to making him look bad. That reporter, like if I saw him today, I'd probably want to smack him. No.
Oh, that was a great reporter. The Jordan rules were great. Yeah, the Jordan rules. We should read that book, to be honest.
And that brought in, that also brought in the team with that. It was like, okay, here's the Jordan rules, but what part of the team and what components of the team are divulging this information? Was it management? Was it this? Was it that? It created for a little bit of tension within the team for a while tearing down that great idol that they knew of as Michael Jordan.
Yeah, but I mean, that's fine. I think it brought the team maybe closer together in some cases, because I mean, that was the book that made us realize the kind of person that Jordan really was, this super competitive, over the top sort of guy. I think we should read that book. I think we should read that book for this podcast, by the way.
But what was the book called?
The Jordan Rules.
Oh, they actually went over. They went over the whole Piston stuff, like in the book.
But I don't think it gave us a real view of who he was. I think the stuff that we saw was him. Of course, he's not perfect, but I mean,
nobody's perfect, man.
Right. So what I'm saying is, I think that book was just a way to tarnish him, essentially. I think it was hey, I know he's great, but check this out too, because we don't even know if any of that stuff in the book, because we haven't read it, if it was true. It was just brought to light, and people were made aware that, okay, this guy might not be that great.
I don't think anyone denies that, you don't say it outright, but that he may have punched Will Perdue and deliberately threw hard to catch passes at Bill Cartwright to expose Cartwright's deficiencies. That sounds exactly like what Jordan would do.
Well, he was a little mad at Cartwright. I mean, he wasn't mad at him, but he did say in one of the, I think episode 1 or 2, he was like, we don't want Cartwright to have the ball at the end, which is true though, right? It's like, that's not your best option.
He even made the statement. I don't think the Jordan rules are bad. I think it just there was a reaction to, I mean, whenever one of these books comes out, there's always that big news thing to get people talking about the book. Like I remember when Pete Rose wrote his book, he had to finally admit he bet on baseball, kind of thing, right? That he had been denying for 20 years, and that sold books.
But he only bet on the Reds. He only bet on the Reds. He bet for, not against.
The only thing here was, and then the only thing here is like, okay, what's the thing that's going to get you like, talking about things is, oh, he may have punched Will Perdue, and it's just, I think it's just going to focus on his. I think that'd be a good book to read. We'll talk about that later.
If he did punch Will Perdue, you would know he punched Will Perdue. If he did punch him, you would know it. You know why? Because he punched Kerr, and he punched Kerr, and it's documented, and there's no hiding it. It's not like it's not to be secretive, because he punched Kerr, and everybody knows it. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Maybe we went out. Oh,
well, I mean, what I mean? Will Perdue says he did. I just looked it up.
Yeah,
I see your point.
So it's not secretive.
I see your point, Lo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Will Perdue says he did.
Yeah.
And
so
Jordan,
he did.
And Jordan didn't deny it. So I think he probably did. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think the Jordan rules are just, listen, when Michael Jordan's that competitive, and we're going to talk about in 5 seconds, the second episode about the gambling stuff. When Michael Jordan's that competitive, you can paint it 2 ways. You could paint it like this is why he's a champion, and he's the GOAT, and he's among the best, and he shuts people down. But when you're that competitive, though, you can paint it in the way that the Jordan rules probably did, which is why I think that's an awesome book for us to read, especially especially because it was written in 91, right? So we got to sort of take our minds back then. It doesn't have all this 10 years of context. It's before Jordan. Jordan only has 1 championship at this time. I don't think he won. He just has 1, right? I think he just has one.
That was like as he was becoming the best of the best, Yeah.
So that'd be cool. So like I said, let's transition to that second to episode 6. And Wayne's already touched on it. And what this documentary does do very well, besides just the story is interesting, is that it is really pulling no punches with Jordan's attitude. And Jordan's actually a lot more candid than I expected him to be. And one of those is my favorite line here, and I like to get both of your reactions to this, is when people ask him, do you have a gambling problem? And he goes, no, I have a competition problem.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was a funny comment, actually.
Yeah.
That shows that he has a gambling problem, but it's a funny thing to say, right? Competition problem. He was doing like thousands of dollars a hole, and like Barkley was like down for like 20 or 100, and like then he was like, I'm not doing like thousands of dollars a hole or 30,000 or whatever, you know?
Yeah, getting nuts. How about you, Wayne? What'd you think about a line like that?
I think that, I mean, he definitely likes competition. And I think, from my point of view, anytime you're gambling with somebody, that brings out the best in them, it makes it more exciting, of course, or the worst. But ultimately, the guy was just competitive as all get out, and he had expendable money. He was making buku bucks. He was making the most money out of anybody. That was what was funny to me, is he's like, he's like, my family's not poor. My kids can eat. It's like, man, you have an unlimited amount of money at this time period for what you do. So of course they're not going to be poor or broke,
Yeah.
But that wasn't nothing illegal, right? He wasn't doing nothing illegal. I mean, it's not like,
I think it might have been technically illegal, but no one cares. He goes, if
with
I had
your
a
friends,
problem, I'd sell my watch, I'd hawk my rings. That would crack me up too.
is it illegal to bet with your friends? I didn't know that was
doing
illegal.
it. I'm not a fucking lawyer, Lo. He's doing it with
well, it's
with
not. I'm telling you.
too. Like he's like talking about how if you had a gambling problem, I would, hawk my watch, sell my rings. But he also has the thick ass dark sunglasses. It looks like he's probably drunk. You know what I mean? So that cracked me up too. But I mean, we all bet. Wayne doesn't live in Vegas now, but he used to. Like it's like that's just like part of our lives, And
well, plus when you're betting with friends, it makes it fun. Like pool, or I don't know if you guys played golf or something, but it's like you're playing against, like, you're not playing against a casino, you're not playing against a god, or I mean, you're just playing against a person, and you're messing with your friends, So that's kind of fun, right? So that's why you liked it, I think. And
it's not only friends either, right? So you guys might know me, obviously, as being somewhat competitive. And I have this bet, though, like apart from you guys. I mean, Wayne, I went to school with Wayne, and we both have our finance degrees together, right? But I have this running bet with accountants that for those that don't know, you can't get a CPA unless you have an accounting degree, because you have to take certain classes, right? So if you have a finance degree, you didn't take like tax classes and stuff. And no accountant takes my bet that that for $10,000 I can pass the CPA in a month.
Okay.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you is, I'm not trying to talk about finance here, but I'm trying to tell you, like, that's my competitive nature. Like I don't care. The CPA doesn't do anything for me. I'll have to study pretty hard for a month. You know what I mean?
You want motivation to do it, though. You want like to make a bet.
No, the other way. I don't want motivation to do it. I just want to tell all these fucking accountants that I'm better than them. That's the idea. Like, it's fucked up, right? And that's what George is doing.
That's like a competitive thing. You want that bet too.
Yeah. I don't need it to motivate me. I'm not built that way. If I want to take a test, I'll take it. You know what I mean? I really just want to walk up and go, all you little accountants with your CPAs that talk to me about how hard it is. I rolled up and I passed it in a month. You know what I mean? I'm not even an accountant.
What's the typical time frame?
I don't know. They do it. I mean, they study for 4 years. They have an accounting degree for 4 years. You know what I mean? And then they study a while, and in their little world, like, the CPA is a big test, as Wayne knows, there's much bigger tests. And I always just wanted, but it's like an official one that, like, even like a non-financial person like you, Lo, knows.
Yeah.
You've heard of people being a CPA,
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get away from that. But I just, like, that's that mindset that I understand. So there's betting, like going to the sports book, and like, betting your $20,000, $100,000, and like you're trying to make money. But there's a different thing, because Jordan could have done that too, right? There's a different thing when you're just so competitive and you just want to be better and want to win. The difference between me and Jordan is that he's like really good at basketball and super rich.
Yeah. And also, go ahead.
Really that bad? Is it really that bad? You're betting amongst friends and people that it's not like you're.
That's what I'm saying. It's not illegal. It's not bad.
What was interesting to me is that it really didn't bring it to the forefront until he had to testify against that dude in court. So that's where it really took some legs. You know what I mean?
Is that the dude that he owed? The dude said he owed him money.
$57,000.
And Jordan said he owed them
$57,000.
Yeah, but I think though that's what so structurally, morally, betting with your friends and hanging out and having a good time if you can afford it and no one's dying and no one's starving in your family. So structurally and morally, it's fine. But I think that the problem that some people have, and I can see it, one of the reasons gambling should just be legal in general, is that it does bring a shady environment around, right? And especially in Vegas, you know, it's all corporate and stuff, so we don't see it as much. But Wayne over there in Cleveland, if he really wanted to, he could find a bookie, meet him in a McDonald's parking lot and make bets. You know what I mean? And the deeper you go there, you know, it's a little bit shadier people, you know. So
Just around the wrong stuff.
Or even playing craps, you know what I mean? The street craps.
Yeah. So
you might get shot now, you know?
Well, but so structurally, there's nothing wrong with it, with your friends hanging out, having a good time, playing poker. But just the nature of that business and the fact that it's illegal in Cleveland to have, you know, to take bets and stuff, let's say, or almost anywhere else, or it's heavily regulated, that brings that like sort of like you know, morally suspect group of people, and that's what Jordan got wrapped up in.
Go ahead, Wayne, and I got something to go on that.
I think it also talks to the power of the media on how they built this guy up so much, and then they tore him down, you know, over something that was really not that big of a deal at the time. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's what the media does. They want to make stories, you know, that's their job.
Did it become a big deal?
I mean, everything with Jordan was a big deal at the time.
For a while, because obviously they were saying, you know, I know one of the specific quotes was in the second episode. Ahmad Rashad was saying, hey, you know, if you guys don't, because they felt like he was getting picked on, you know, he felt like he was getting picked on. And Ahmad Rashad was like, hey, you might run this guy away from the game. You know, that was just speaking more to the power of the media. Like, hey, is this guy really doing anything that bad? We're talking about it today. Like, hey, it was no big deal, but he was already trying to be this image for the kids and the world, and he's so great. And then, hey, you're gambling, you're doing this, you're spending this money, you're losing, you know, what are you doing? Why are you here? Why are you there? And it became something more of a nuisance. And yeah, I think it did become a big deal, to answer your question.
So okay. So what you said was the way the media built it up, which I'm fine with. Like, if
that's what they do, man.
If you're famous, you got to handle that. These guys are doing their job. They're trying to get a story.
That's clickbait before clickbait. That was TV bait, newspaper bait.
I'm on both sides of it. I agree with you. This episode hasn't happened yet, and we'll talk more about it in detail. What I'm saying is that around the time of Dad dying and baseball and switching to baseball, and hopefully we get a whole episode of that, and not just like 20 minutes and a taste, which is what's been annoying me about this series. But and we get the baseball stuff. Do you think at that point, what is that, 94? I should know, right? Because those are Olajuwon championship years. But,
it is 94, 95 for sure, yeah, right?
It is 94, 95. At that point, did the gambling become an issue? You know, wrapped up in family issues, wrapped up in the stress of being a basketball player, whatever, right? But at that point, did it become an issue? So in 92, you're right.
It was all an issue. That's why he went and played baseball and left, right?
I think most people believe that the narrative is that it involved wanting to play baseball, his dad dying, and getting just deeper and deeper, like gambling taking over his life.
I think it was everything. Yeah, I think it was everything. He just needed to step away. He had so much going on.
So that'll almost be a tease, though, for like, that'll probably be next episode, to be honest. So that'll almost be a tease for next episode. So I think Wayne is on it. He's correct right now that, okay, the media made it, like they just see that you went out or they hear that you're spending a lot of money or going to Vegas and then you lose game one. That's the story, right? The media is going to write that story. So it may have been overblown, right?
So if they were down 2-0, right? So if they would have won both games, they wouldn't have had that big story.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it would have been a big story. And then obviously the testifying was big because that's where you start going, oh, this dude that he's around is a little bit shady, right? So
Yeah. And I got one more thing to go on that.
Maybe he does actually have a problem. That created more of the speculation to start to believe it was true.
That's true too. Go ahead.
And that's probably why that's probably why he stepped away and went and played baseball. It was kind of like a combination of everything. I was going to say about like the gambling. It's another thing that was probably part of why he liked to bet golf or like pool. Probably we don't even know what he was betting. He might have been playing pool with his friends. Mostly golf. So it's like golf is relaxing. It's a getaway from the grind first and foremost without betting at all. You're outside, you're with your buddies, so it's fun no matter what. Then he's not betting basketball, right? Like, not that he would bet basketball, but he's the best of the best in the NBA. So like, if it was like, I'm gonna bet this other couple teammates that I'm gonna score more tonight. Is that much fun? No, right? Because he is gonna score more, and especially if he want, or he could bet like the other team. I bet you I score more than you, and he's gonna win that bet, and it's no fun. But if it's golf, he's just an okay golfer. So as far as competitively and like gambling, he doesn't know if he's going to win or not. So that's the part of the fun with golf.
That's a gambler talking, Wayne. That's a gambler talking right there.
But that's the basketball. That's just real stuff. The basketball, he's the best of the best, so he could score the most probably 99% of the time.
What we're saying is it's more exciting for him because there's a little bit more randomness built in.
Yeah. Well, there's a little more. He might lose that money. And he can afford it, but I'm saying that's the part of why he enjoyed it so much, probably with the golf.
Yeah,
that's what that's for sure.
That sounds like a gamble. That sounds like when I've been with Lo and we're at a roulette table, and Lo's winning too, and he's just excited, and he's like, it feels so good to see that ball spinning around, and you don't know where it's gonna land.
Yeah, but back in the day, I wanted to go eat steak and eggs. I could stop at any moment. I could be up thousands and be like, okay, I'm done. I want to go eat steak and eggs.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So it's like that, but it is part of the fun.
Arizona Charlie's the steak and egg. The gambling for me at Arizona Charlie's was specifically to get the steak and eggs for free. Like, I only needed to break even for my meal. That's actually my goal always when I'm gambling. I'm never trying to be a millionaire. I'm just trying to make this $50 to break even on my meal.
Now, Wayne, have you ever done that? It's a good feeling, winning a free meal or something and going to eat it.
Yes, Lo. I've lived in Las Vegas for 12 years. I've definitely won a few free things here and there.
Wayne keeps trying to leave Las Vegas, and he always comes back. I'm waiting for him. I'm waiting for him to be like, "Hey, Chris, I live on Rainbow and Warm Springs now," or something. I'm waiting for him just to call me to tell me that. There was another crazy thing in that second episode. There was the gambling, and they did another negative thing. Oh, was that the Jordan rules?
I think that was because
in the first one. That was in the first one.
Oh, because there were two things they tore him down in the second episode, wasn't it?
I mean, I can think of the first one. They were also talking about like with Spike Lee in the commercials and the Gatorade be like Mike.
That's a good topic.
We didn't really talk about that. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. Whatever.
And the second one too was more, towards the end, obviously with Charles Barkley, and I mean, it was a lot of his gambling issues. So
mixed in with what was happening in the games.
So at least so far they're keeping it real, right? They talk about the gambling on this,
Well, I said that in the first episode, right? That I wanted to deciding whether this documentary is legit is if they're honest about the gambling, and they could be a little bit more honest. But I think they've done a good job with that. From that point of view, very good. Let's talk about that.
They showed the guy playing quarters,
dude, with the security staff. But that also shows that he wasn't being like stuck up and like he's too good to talk to security like some people are. People have bodyguards and they won't even look at him.
That's
Jordan's
true.
Jordan's in there being a guy with the fellas, which kind of I like that.
But there's two levels of Jordan, right? So there's one level what you just said, and that's good. But there's another level that this guy just likes that. It tells me that he doesn't have a problem only because he's so rich.
Well, he was also
he likes.
But he likes
tells
gambling.
you that the dude likes gambling.
But he was also showing his competitiveness because he said during that when he was playing with the security staff, he said, "I just want their money in my pocket."
Yeah.
I mean, I know that could be a gambling thing, but that's competitive. Like, he was messing with those guys. He's like, I want their money, which was like a couple of dollars they were betting.
And what you're referring to what you're referring to specifically is what was the white guy?
It's a security. That was a security staff.
No. His teammate, Purdue.
No, I'm not Purdue.
Paxson.
No, I'm not referring to that. I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to the security guys.
Let him talk, Lo. Let him talk.
Will Purdue and the other teammates were gambling in the front of the air of the plane, and and what he said specifically is, hey, why are you gambling with us? We only bet $1. And the whole thing was, Jordan said, I just want to know that I have your money in my pocket. That's what it was.
No, but he said that with the security guys too, I'm pretty sure.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He said it. That's what's important.
Yeah. He just wanted their money, anybody who it was.
Yeah, that's a competitive thing. But here's the thing. All he kept saying was that he's so rich and he hasn't had to hawk his rings, so it's not a gambling problem. But what if he had that situation, but he had like our paychecks? So what if we had his mindset for gambling with the money we make now? Would we be considered to have a problem?
Yeah, you probably would, because you don't have $200 million in the bank or something, right?
Well, I wouldn't be betting $10,000, but what if I was betting like proportionally that much? I think Jordan's lucky to be so rich, or it could have been even worse.
So if you were doing like betting pennies in a back alley of downtown just to try to win.
Yeah, well, not that. Let's close down on this.
Okay, I was just gonna say, who's to say that he would have had a gambling problem? Like, maybe he gambled because he had such expendable income.
I mean, you maybe say that about other people. You look at Jordan and you go, oh, that guy's a gambler. But let's move on from this. Let's close out with the what Lo just mentioned. The beginning of that 6th episode actually initially focused on, or maybe it was the middle, initially focused on this idea that he goes, you might want to be, I'm paraphrasing here, you might want to be Michael Jordan for a day or two, but you don't want to be Michael Jordan for weeks and weeks. So what do you think about that? Because I would say, yes, I do. It's just from being the rich part. You know what I mean? I understand that it's stressful and hard, but I think Jordan is one of the people, at least for males, I think it might be tougher sometimes for a super famous female, but at least for males to have the worst and the best of both of fame. You know what I mean? Like, he was looked at so closely, as Wayne pointed out, for the gambling and everything else, and never was left alone. But at the same time, I mean, he got super rich, and it's way cooler to be rich and the best basketball player than to be the best CEO, in my opinion. Like, that's just a cooler thing to be.
Well, if you enjoyed sports, you're like, I can play a sport and make a living making millions.
Yeah.
But some actresses come
that. What do you think about him saying that? He goes, you could maybe want to be Jordan for 1 or 2 days, but not for weeks.
Well, there's a lot of pressure. Like, some actors or actresses say they can't even go outside and go to the store without people messing with them for autographs and pictures, which would be kind of annoying. But that's part of the deal. You just sign you have $100 million. You could suck it up and have people take pictures of you for 10 minutes.
So, but I think we all agree then we'd be perfectly fine being Jordan. Like, I think Jordan doesn't understand how it is to be us.
Yeah,
I feel like he had an issue, and Lo was like, "Oh, it's just 10 minutes." But just imagine, like, as soon as you get done with the game, you got to talk to the media.
Yeah, that's part of the job, man.
Right, but as soon as you get out to the media, after you're done with the media, there's 15,000
couple of autographs you got to sign.
There. There's 15,000 people out there waiting for you to get an autograph. It could be taxing, I'm sure, every day in and day out.
It's part of the job, Lo. Given that it's part of the job, doesn't mean that you don't feel like.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, but that's part of the job. I mean, it is what it is.
We're saying it's part of the job, Lo. We all agree on that part.
Yeah, and it would be hard. It would be taxing at times. That's exactly what he said.
What I always want to tell those people, because I've heard a lot of famous people say something like that, and I heard a lot of say something like that. I always want to tell them, no, motherfucker, you don't want to be me. Like, you don't want you don't want to worry that the coronavirus is going to make you poor and you're not going to be able to pay your mortgage or your rent or something. You know what I mean? Or your food or whatever. Like, trust me, I know that you got fame, but calm down. You don't know how it is to be 30 years old and not a super millionaire,
And you see those guys complaining about that, and they also signed for a big, huge movie 2 months later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's famous people that roll out, what's that famous workout guy he's like gay with all the curly hair, but no one's seen him.
Richard Simmons.
Yeah, Richard Simmons, very famous for making a shit ton of money and then disappearing. And then they even made a podcast about where is he, right? But he was just like, I'm done. I'm done with being in, I've made my money. But these guys still fucking
Dude, we got a Richard Simmons sighting on this thing. That's awesome.
How do you know this stuff?
Dude, you don't know who Richard Simmons is? Come on, let's be real with ourselves.
No.
The podcast.
How did he know that there was a podcast about Richard Simmons and where he is now?
Because they won awards.
Crazy to me.
Because they won awards.
Because this guy's a talented podcaster. Of course, he's going to know this kind of stuff.
I'm at the cutting edge of podcasts. I would never listen to it because it's like 10 hours. I barely could do Jordan, and that's like from like my top three sport of mine.
Yes. So the people that made enough money and really,
the podcast is very famous, Wayne. Those of us, Wayne, that don't just read articles on ESPN and BET. Like that's your whole world. For those of us,
dude, instead of dirty,
now beyond the two websites,
that's not true. That's not true at all.
That's definitely not true. But that's your top two.
There's much more depth to me than that, my friend.
There's much more, but he got your top two right. I mean, so it's like it's a little in the middle of both.
I have to admit, BET's in my top 10. That's for sure.
I like that though. I agree with that, Chris. As far as like the ones that truly don't like it, they retire or they step away. The ones that are bullshitting are still in the game, and they're just saying that because they're just stupid.
Jordan doesn't need to be an executive for an NBA team. You know what I mean? He's competitive. That's probably why he's doing it. You know what I mean? I know famously Oral Hershiser, obviously he's too old to play baseball. Famously, he became at least a semi-pro at poker because he's like, he's known as the bulldog and being pretty competitive too. Maybe not Jordan Kobe level. And he goes, I got to play poker because I'm so competitive. Like he goes to Red Rock right down the street from me and Angelo during the off season, when he's not working and calling games, he has to go do that. So, but
who has it real good, real quick? Who has it real good is like Nolan Arciendo or like Nolan Arenado or like certain players. They signed for like $200-300 million, and he could still go eat. He could still eat at a Wingstop or go to like a movie, and he might not get messed with. Like not in Colorado. What's up?
That's a problem with baseball.
No, I'm just saying like that's the best of both worlds right there. You're saying they're not. I know it is a problem because they're not.
I also think
that's
you
a
guys.
Problem, though.
I also think you guys are saying it's part of the job, and maybe it is.
I didn't.
Well, Lo is, but it's like to what extent? You know what I mean? Like to what extent? That all that guy really wanted to do when he was at college in North Carolina and all throughout his career was be the best basketball player possible.
Well, that's too bad. You have to do media. Well, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to do media and stuff.
But what I'm saying to you is, yes, I agree, Lo. I agree with you. But what he didn't realize is that was going to turn him into the largest sports star we've ever seen on planet Earth. Like, I'm sure he's good with signing the same amount of autographs as Horace Grant and
that's why he stepped away and played baseball. He got away.
He's all good with here, kid, have a good one, take care. But it was really everywhere.
Yeah, dude, Jordan was the biggest guy on earth, man.
Yeah, but what we're going to close it. But what we were trying to point out is that it's part of the job, we understand, and then talk about why it was taxing, sort of thing.
Yeah, dude. When it's like LeBron now,
and it is a little bit like with LeBron, but LeBron, it's a different. That's actually.
And here we are talking about LeBron. Now we're not supposed to talk about LeBron.
Yeah, you goddamn idiot. But we should just close it now. This show's over. I'm done with you guys.
It's like Steph Curry or something. Yeah. Let's talk about somebody else.
But I got a question though. Who is the next biggest sports star ever after Jordan? It could be any sport. Doesn't have to be basketball. It could be any sport.
Well, there's
Kobe was close, right? Kobe was huge.
To the world.
Kobe was huge.
Well, I mean, I think that Ronaldo probably, it's going to be hard for you to see that because it's not as big in America, Wayne, but Ronaldo's
Yeah, I was gonna say
right there. Ronaldo and
I
Messi
was
are
gonna
right
say
there.
Beckham. I was gonna say Beckham.
Nah, not so much.
I mean,
Not
Ronaldo,
not Odell. I'm talking Beckham, the
Yeah,
one
I
with
know.
Posh Spice.
David
Oh,
Beckham.
okay.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
Ronaldo, if he
he
goes
is
out in
big.
his city, he's getting mobbed, like, for sure. Ronaldo goes anywhere, like he's getting.
Yeah, and
So
Messi's up
same with
there.
Messi. Yeah,
Messi's up there too, but Ronaldo is more like the face,
yeah, that's true.
of it all, of more marketable face, and he's more out there as far as his personality and stuff. Where Messi is like very quiet, short, and small.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know that he's transcended. Here's the other thing, and this will more align with Wayne. It's like if you're going to be called super world famous like Jordan, then you should probably also be recognized in the United States to a high level, which maybe is not fair to the 6.5 billion people watching this that aren't from the United States. But it's hard for us to go, you're world famous when you're not the most famous athlete in the biggest economy, sort of thing,
Well, so like Messi's like legendary, one of the best ever. But if Messi was like in Vegas walking around at Kmart, some people might not even know who he is.
Well, what part of town? I guarantee you in the Northeast or where
East Side. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Hispanics know him in 2 seconds. If he went to Wayne's neighborhood in Cleveland, maybe not so much. Maybe.
That's why I said David. That's why I said David Beckham, because he was huge all over. He was huge before he came to the United States, and then he came to the United States, and the dude was everywhere. I don't even follow soccer like that, and I knew who the dude was.
Yeah, and that's a little bit more of a face thing, and he spoke English, but I don't think
he had a movie and stuff
at the world level like Ronaldo is. Though.
He wasn't at a world, but he was like had a movie. He was dating a Spice Girl. I mean, he
spoke English, which is a big deal. I bet if you go to if all of our Spanish was up to par and we were watching those channels, all you would see is stuff about Ronaldo and Messi and stuff.
Would we say Tiger Woods?
No. Because that's in the English speaking, for sure, he's up there and known. But golf is only so popular.
I think Kobe was close. Like Kobe was not as big as Jordan, but Kobe was big in other countries and like whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, a big part of Jordan being super famous too, because basketball was barely growing in those other countries. They were just getting a picture. The Dream Team helped it. I mean, what really helped Jordan too is that people sort of knew him. And basketball was the most popular sport at that time. And I'm sure we're going to get this soon, motherfucking Space Jam. That was a worldwide movie. And everyone loved that movie.
Gatorade, Space Jam, McDonald's. He had all those commercials.
Kobe missed out. Oh, he was in McDonald's and the Nike guy. So anyway, let's close this up, guys. I'm ready to hang out with the wife and stuff. It turned out to be a good talk. I was afraid about it because I had it on, but I was, trying to be a good dad too. So I knew I missed a couple things there, but a good talk. There's actually a lot to talk about. I want everyone to know that I do enjoy this documentary a lot. I'm having a great time, like reliving 90s basketball. I almost want a documentary about 90s basketball that doesn't involve the Bulls because it just makes me remember all the stories. You know what I mean? Like Ewing and Olajuwon and all the big centers, Karl Malone. You know what I mean? It just makes me remember all my old basketball cards when I was a kid and stuff.
Yeah.
I would have to say, dude, that mid 90s basketball is probably my favorite moment in sports for me. And that a lot of that's because the Rockets won the championship, right? And it's close to like late 80s, early 90s baseball.
Yeah.
That's when I was like baseball is what got me into sports because the Dodgers won the World Series. I was a young kid. But like I was like middle school in like, 94, 93, through the Rockets winning and not being a Laker fan in LA was big, like, and the Rockets winning at that time was big for me. So it just excites me. It makes me remember my Skybox cards. It makes me remember all that cool ass stuff, So that's my favorite part of this is that it's making me remember my childhood and my love for sports, And
don't ever forget it again. Don't ever forget again.
Yeah, definitely. And I know it's doing the same for you because that was your guys' era too. Anyway, let's close it up. My name's Chris Sarda. There's Angelo Soboro, Wayne down there. You can find us all on Twitter, at Chris Sarda, at Chaotic Sports, at Never Do I Lose. The Chaotic Sports Instagram is at Chaotic Sports Podcast. Angelo's handling that. He's doing a great job there. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know what you think about The Last Dance. We will be here at this time at 8:30 Pacific. What time is it for you, Wayne? 11:30 p.m. Eastern to talk about episodes 7 and 8. And then we got one more week after that. So anyway, you guys have a great day. Thank you, guys.
All right, later.
Later.